So, after a customer clicks buy, this whole other process just kicks into gear. But for a lot of businesses, this post-order world of shipping, returns, and all those financial adjustments, it's just a big mess of manual tasks. Today, we're going to talk about how you can bring some real order to that chaos.
All right, so here's the plan. We're going to start by digging into the core problem with all these manual processes. Then we'll see how automation comes in as the solution. We'll break down how it affects shipping and returns, then get into the nitty-gritty of rebates and chargebacks. And finally, we'll wrap it all up with the big picture benefits.
Okay, let's dive right in. Look, to really get why the solution is so powerful, we first have to understand the problem, right? And it really all starts with these hidden costs of just doing things the old-fashioned way. In this slide, man, it just perfectly captures the chaos. Think about it. When every single order adjustment, every shipping question lives in some separate email thread or a crazy complicated spreadsheet, well, you don't really have a process. What you have is just a bunch of disconnected conversations. There's no single source of truth anywhere. And that messy, unstructured approach, it always leads to these kinds of consequences. Information gets lost in an inbox, and boom, an incorrect credit gets applied. That then leads to a customer dispute. And every single one of these problems, it ultimately leads to what we call financial leakage. That's just money literally leaking out of the business because of inefficiency and errors.
So, the big question is, how do we fix this mess? Well, the answer is all about shifting from being reactive and manual to being proactive and automated. Let's take a look at what that transformation really truly means. This slide just illustrates the change perfectly. You're moving away from that scattered world on the left, the spreadsheets, the emails, over to a centralized, clean system on the right. In this new world, everything is managed in structured workflows. It's all powered by real-time data and information that's already been validated. It's kind of like the difference between trying to navigate with a messy, hand-drawn map versus having a high-tech GPS.
All right, so let's get specific. How does all this actually apply to the physical movement of goods? We're going to start with two of the most common and honestly most complex areas, shipping and returns.
Yeah, with an automated system, shipping is no longer this fire and forget kind of deal. The information is captured and tracked at every single step. And if there's an exception, say a delay or a damaged package, it gets flagged immediately, right there in a workflow. It's not buried in some email chain that nobody sees for 3 days.
And here's what's so crucial. Automation actually prevents errors before they even happen. The system basically acts like a digital gatekeeper. It automatically checks that the right quantity is going to the right place with the right carrier under the correct terms. This whole pre-dispatch validation thing, it's absolutely key to cutting down on problems later on.
Returns management gets a pretty similar upgrade. So instead of this manual, case-by-case nightmare, it becomes this logical step-by-step process. The system literally guides you through it. Verify the return, check it against the company's policies, figure out the right outcome, and all the while, it's updating your inventory and your financial systems automatically in the background. Pretty cool, right? Okay, now let's switch gears and talk about the financial side of post-order management. And this is where things get really serious because tiny manual errors here can turn into huge financial losses. So accuracy is everything.
The core technology that makes all this possible is something called a rule-based engine. Just think of it like a super smart calculator that you get to teach all your business rules to. Once you tell it the rules for your rebates or the criteria for a valid chargeback claim, it can make those decisions instantly and without making any mistakes. Now, what's really cool about this slide is how it shows you just how versatile that engine is. So for rebates, it's proactive. It's constantly scanning transactions to find the ones that qualify, and then it automatically issues the credit. But for chargebacks, which are usually a reactive thing, it gives you a structured workflow to log the problem, review the claim against the rules you set, and make sure you get to a fair resolution. So, okay, we've seen how automation can totally transform these individual processes. But what happens when you put it all together? What's the real tangible impact on the business as a whole? Well, the data really speaks for itself here. I mean, look at this chart. It clearly shows that when you move from a manual process to an automated one, the number of disputes just plummets. It makes sense, right? When your information is accurate, it's validated, it's transparent, there are just way fewer things for customers and partners to argue about.
And that one change leads directly to these three incredibly important business outcomes. You're not just cutting down on costly disputes, you're actually building trust and making your customer relationships stronger because the whole process is fair and transparent. And underneath all of that, you are maintaining perfectly accurate financial records, which, let's be honest, is the foundation of any healthy order-to-cash cycle. So, we'll leave you with this one question to think about. Every single manual adjustment, every delayed shipment, every long, drawn-out dispute, each one represents a leak in your business. By bringing in automation, you're not just plugging those leaks. You're building a stronger, more resilient, and ultimately more profitable process, right from the moment a customer places an order.